9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
It's the Rocket Hour. Y'all are now tuned in. Time to hit the pick four that you'd love to win. If your money's coming slow, step on the faster track with your host, Ricky Pasternak. Let's go.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Rocket Hour. I should have had this up. I'm going to take, obviously, we're going to do a Gulfstream Park preview, some recaps, obviously touch on some football at the very, very end, so make sure you stick around for that. Then you're going to see why these two names are relevant. One goes to Mahomes, I feel like is kind of self-explanatory. Mine, on the other hand, while I am a Lamar Jackson fan, there is a reason that it's there. Mr. Halterman, how's your weekend? I know you went away to Branson, I believe. I hope I pronounced that properly. Tell me how it was and if you got a chance to watch any of the replays live, anything like that.
Yeah, I watched all the replays, so I'm very prepared to talk about horse racing today, the recaps and everything. Watched everything. I watched the big races live. It was the wife's birthday, so kind of had to sneak in the bathroom or sneak and act like I'm going to try on a pair of clothes or a pair of pants or something to watch a race. Time that right, But yeah, I was able to watch. We had a good time at Branson. I don't think it's Ricky's cup of tea, but your parents would love it, Ricky. So I promise you that.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm not going to, mention how old my parents are, but I think you are definitely closer to my age, but you are definitely somewhere in the middle as well. So I think this is great because you're like the tactical speed horse, right? You can go up, you can go back, you can really go either way. Obviously, I'm all speed, full go. My parents are trying to close from well behind, so you're somewhere in the middle.
I'm still in a good spot to where I could hang with you at the bars till 2 a.m. and I'd be all right. Ask Dr. Miranda, she knows. Or I could go with your parents on a nice little afternoon lunch at Branson. So, yeah, I am. I'm that kind of guy right now.
Exactly. And you know what? I'm not jealous because it seems like I only have one speed and I might pull a Gamine and get disqualified. Let's real quick. We're going to recap, and that's in all seriousness. Aaron obviously comes prepared. You're probably like at 4:37. I got to try on these pair of pants. Why not 4:45? It's going to be 8 minutes late. I want to do it at 4:37. I know how that goes. Had to deal with that before.
Yep.
Real quick, we're just going to talk about recaps, horses that we maybe like, maybe we don't like. Unfortunately, there will be a story that we have to talk about in terms of a horse being off the trail. If you don't know, we will get to that as well. The first one here is the San Vicente. There have been some great horses to come out of the San Vicente in the past. I think Nyquist was one of them. I don't know off the top of my head. I know Magic Mike talked about it a little bit more in depth, so we're going to go through it quick. What do you think of Concert Tour? He kind of struggled. I don't want to say struggle, but 2 to 5 was a lot closer than it should have been.
Right. When a horse is 2 to 5, you think they're going to win by 4 or 5 lengths. That's kind of what they're supposed to do. He didn't do that, but I think he ran up against a pretty good horse out of his own barn and Freedom Fighter, who's probably a little more meant for that distance than Concert Tour. I think Concert Tour is going to be better around 2 turns. I don't think this is an elite horse, but I think it says something that he was able to get the job done here. So I had no negatives to take away from either one of these horses going forward. I thought Freedom Fighter was strong as well. So, yeah, tough luck, Bob, with a couple of good ones here. Concert Tour, yeah, definitely going to see him 2 turns next time out. It'll be interesting to see if he takes the Nadal route, because last year Nadal won this race and went to the Rebel at Oaklawn Park. Will we see Concert Tour do something similar? So that's kind of what I'm going to look for next. Where's he going to go?
Yeah, real quick. I didn't want to do questions, but Dennis has a really good point. Let me ask you if you got out of second gear. I heard on Magic Mike there's a 6 whip rule. Basically, you can only whip them 6 times. I'm going to get through this real quick. In my opinion, if the horse is good enough, he'll get out of second gear or third gear into that first gear. If you go, I personally don't believe obviously jockeys are counting their whip, how many times you can hit. Obviously, Joel Rosario has been out there. I personally don't put that much into it. If you whip them a couple times, they should be able to get into it. They shouldn't need 10 hits or whatever, or 10 smacks, whatever you want to call it. In my opinion, real quick, before we move on, are you in the same boat, or do you think it would make a big difference if Concert Tour left and headed to Oak Lawn or California, Florida, something like that?
No, I really don't. I think that's being overblown. And I think you're right. Once you whip a horse 2-3 times, you usually get that response, or you don't. I don't think, whipping them 7, 8, 9, 10 times is, I don't really think it becomes relevant at that point. And to Dennis's point, I don't think he was full out in this race. No, I think he had a little more left in the tank, and that's what you want to see on a horse that we know is going to have to progress off of this race.
Real quick, it's similar to if you have a child. If you hit your child 3 times, they're not going to get it after 10. Serious. I'm being dead serious. Don't hit your child, but that's not what we're saying. But it's like you keep, how about this? You're tapping your child 3 times. If they're not going to do it on time 3 or 10, 10's not going to be a difference. I think that's the best way I can honestly just try to make this the same comparison. Let's move on to the Withers. I don't know. I never put much into the Withers, but this is a Chad Brown and risk taking. What do you think? Or do you want to put any stock into risk taking, or is this a weak race?
I thought this race set up very, very well for risk taking. And I think he won like a horse that had a really good setup and may have been the best horse anyway. I definitely think he's going to be dangerous at these longer distances. So 1.125 1.25 miles, I like it. I thought it was an okay race. I think he can move forward off of it. We just have to see what he does when he faces better competition. But again, I look at it the same way as Concert Tour. I didn't watch this race and go, ooh, I hate risk taking. I thought he did about what he should have done in this race. So good on him.
As an expectant father, I'm happy that I tuned in. Look, I'm not a parent myself. Aaron's not a parent himself. I go by what I see and hear. Take it for what you wish. Magic, that is a funny point, though. I'm laughing inside as I'm saying it. Real quick.
I'm laughing on the outside.
Real quick. We haven't talked about this much because we don't cover Aqueduct here, and when we get to Belmont, we will head to Belmont over the spring. I love horses going from Aqueduct to Gulfstream. I hate horses going from Gulfstream to Aqueduct. And one of the reasons I do, I think horses really run better sometimes when the weather's warmer. And we see Aqueduct, it is freezing. I'm not talking like 40. I'm talking in the 20s with snow. So I don't want to say horses are soft. I've never met a horse. I've never talked to a horse. Horses do not run well when they come up north. They really, really don't. It's just like Drew Brees and the Saints going outside. There's something to do with it. Donegal Bay, horrible. Now, he was seen last time at Gulfstream. And Dennis says, hot take, I'd rather have overtook than risk taking. I don't know. I don't want any of them.
I don't think that's a hot take, Dennis. I don't
really care. This race stinks. Let's move on to an unfortunate situation, and that's Moonlight Dio. We'll talk about this race. Before we do, unfortunately, Moonlight Dio is off the Kentucky Oaks Trail. Unfortunately, I don't, Aaron, enlighten us if you know what the injury is or the situation. I personally don't. I am not into horse injuries, not into it, but I just don't know much about it and things like that. Maybe enlighten us.
Yeah, this is a really sad situation because Magic and a lot of other people had a little piece of this horse. This is a My Racehorse, ownership group here with Moonlight Dio. The saddest thing about this is right after the race, we were talking, and I'm like, damn, this horse might actually have a shot to win the Kentucky Oaks. Like, ran a race that was just super impressive here. Only beat, 4 other horses, but it doesn't matter. Just the way she won this race was really good. So bad timing, a bad time to get an injury. I guess the only positive to come out of it is Magic broke the news. And if you read the Blood Horse article this morning, it said first reported by Racing Dudes. So that's the first time that's ever happened in the history of the site that we were the first to break the news. So to cheer Magic up, congratulations on that accomplishment.
Honestly, this is what we do here at Racing Dudes. We turn a negative situation into a positive. I didn't know that. To be featured, I think you said Blood Horse is awesome. That just gives us as a brand more notoriety, and Magic himself more notoriety. I know he was really, really high in Moonlight Dio. What he said yesterday, if you want to get a better in-depth look on this race, him and Mike, I should say, they had a real shot with Moonlight Dio, and Magic was right about Calypso. He didn't think Calypso was going to be a factor, and I think he actually shouted us out, saying he tried to warn us, and that's fine. I told him I'm more than happy to be wrong on a public setting, live stream, whatever it is. I can take it. They're not my horse. I don't really care. But he was right. Moonlight Dio, I think, really, really had a shot to be something special. So
I think I missed one stakes race all weekend, and it was this one. So
yeah,
I'm still pretty happy with the weekend. But yeah, I should have listened to him on this one for sure, because
Yeah.
he's never biased towards his horses. So it was
That
a
is
really
true.
it was a really strong, tip. He always never touts his horses, right? So
that is true. I have to say, Magic, for all of the horses that he's a part of, and again, I don't know the details, he will pretty much tell me pretty much straight up what he thinks, and I do appreciate that. I don't like owners telling me when they have a 30-1 morning line coming out of a claiming event that they look good in a grade 3. Your horse doesn't look good. It's okay. So I give Magic credit for that, and it's unfortunate with Moonlight Dio. Moving forward, Calypso maybe going short. Miraz would probably be the horse that we could maybe look to, maybe going 2 turns. Magic says he's as correct as a blind squirrel on or a broken clock. Hey, you know what? You got to once in a while. Some jockeys hit at 8%. If you hit at 8%, Magic, we're not going to blame you for it. Let's move on to and there's a Mike comment as well. We're going to get to that. Let's move on real quick to the Sam Davis. I'm going to pull up Mike's comment. He said, "It's just you then, Ricky. He's never told me a horse is going to lose."
same.
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting. Magic has made cases before, but he is pretty honest with me. So maybe he just likes talking to a younger folk. Maybe the 24-year-old in me has sparked some honesty in Magic. Who knows? The Sam F. Davis, never gonna get, what was it, 8-1 morning line, 10-1, never gonna get that one. I tried. I'll be honest. I tried with Known Agenda as well. I had Smiley Sabaka. That was the worst call I've probably had in 2021. You and Jared both told me that horse was going to run like crap. The other one I did use was Boca Boy. I was really, really impressed with the way Boca Boy ran for almost 20-1. Outkicked Known Agenda. What did you take away from this spot?
I think with Bill Mott, you always kind of know that he's progressing horses, that he's taking steps. And so for Candyman Rocket to come out of a maiden special and then come over here and win and beat a strong field, or not a strong field, but a large field, and beat them going 2 turns for the first time, I thought it was a really good race for Candyman Rocket. I think we could see him improve out of that race. He's got good tactical speed. I like that about him. So there's a lot to like about him. I don't really take away from, people go, 85 Buyer, that wasn't impressive. Oh, he stumbled home. He wasn't impressive. Yeah, maybe, but it was a lot to ask to come over and face a big field, go 2 turns for the first time, coming right out of a maiden special weight, first time against winners, and he won. So I was pretty impressed with Candyman Rocket. I'm pretty happy with that performance. Nova Rags, another Bill Mott, who I think's decent. Not great, but decent. Hidden Stash, I thought ran really well. First race as a 3-year-old. So, the top 3, I don't think any of them are world beaters. I don't think they're Kentucky Derby winners, but I think the top 3 could have an impact wherever they run next. And I think that's kind of how we look at it right now. We're not trying to pick the Derby winner right now. We're trying to go, okay, if these horses come back for the Tampa Bay Derby, what can I expect out of them? If one of them, tries to run at Keeneland, what can we expect out of them? Things like that. And I think the top 3 are decent. Yeah,
no, I agree. I think Candyman Rocket is good. I will say the next 2, I'll even throw Boca Boy in there, are decent. But I think Boca Boy probably belongs against state-bred runners. I think that's what he was kind of running at previously. It's weird. I don't say I feel bad for a horse like Boca Boy, but it's like his ceiling is probably state-bred competition stakes-wise. And outside of that, I don't know where he really stacks up against open competition or non-state bred, however you want to look at it. He can do really, really well at Gulfstream. And if that's where he goes back, I think he would be a heavy favorite if he gets back, or even Tampa Bay Downs, I should say, but most likely Gulfstream. Bill Mott will have a few decisions to make. I think the Magic Mike crew said that they are both maybe heading to the Tampa Bay Derby. Who knows what's going to come out of this spot. Now, you know what? Real quick, I didn't say we're doing the fill in the blank segment on some of these things, but I do want to get to that now. And we're going to kick it off with a few different things. And real quick, before we go to the poll, which was unbelievable yesterday, what about that Gulfstream monsoon on Saturday? I'm going to let you fill in the blank. Your news or your reaction to the Gulfstream monsoon on Saturday was what?
Shock, because I didn't know it was supposed to rain at all. And then all of a sudden, Samich actually texted me first. He goes, "Oh my gosh, it is a monsoon at Gulfstream." Yeah, that was a mess. That was a total mess. Talk about ruining a card. That's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, look, I had to give Jared. I want to throw this on the air, and please, someone enlighten me. Horses. Okay, let me backtrack real quick before we get into the poll, which I think is the most important talking point of the morning. Horses or races that are scheduled for the turf will come off, and they're MTOs. Let me backtrack. They're MTOs, right? So you could be a dirt horse scheduled for a race on the turf, and it comes off, you're in. Or you have the option to be in. You're not necessarily in. They will ask the connections, trainer, X, Y, and Z if they're ready to go. This race was taken off. There was an MTO, and there was a scratch out of there. I think it might have been the 11. I'm not sure. I don't remember off the top of my head. And the horse was taken off because it was kept on the turf. It was later in the card. Mm-hmm. And then the monsoon came and wiped everything off, and it went back to the dirt. And I had to call Jared. I said, I don't know the answer. Don't make fun of me. Can this horse come back as an MTO? I never heard of it. What he said, this is a really good question. You shouldn't feel like an idiot, because I had never seen it before, where the rain just completely changed the back half of the card. Usually if it's raining, it might get to like a yielding course. Mm-hmm. And what he said to me, and you shook your head, so I guess it's unilateral. Once you're declared a scratch for the day, you're a scratch for the day. Yep. And that's more, I'm guessing, for betting purposes, so we don't run into this. But I thought that was a fair question. And honestly, I didn't know the answer to it. I had never seen rain like that just completely wipe out the whole card. And Dennis says, no, they can't. Yeah. You know what? I don't think it was that bad of a question, because I had never seen anything like that before. Real quick, if you obviously knew the answer to that, maybe I should just called you, but you were in Branson riding donkeys or whatever you were doing. I didn't want to call you. When did you first learn of that fact? Obviously, I know moving forward, but I didn't think it was that bad of a question in the moment while I was trying to get everything together.
Yeah, this usually, believe it or not, this usually happens all the time, or not all the time. Let me back up. That's not the right thing to say. It usually happens once a year at Gulfstream at some point in the season because of these pop-up Florida showers. And yeah, I did know that because of Gulfstream. I don't remember the first time I saw it happening, but this wasn't the first time that has happened. And once an MTO is scratched, they're scratched and they cannot come back. And it does, to avoid confusion of somebody, not everybody follows it like we do, right? And not everybody can understand, oh, now he's back. And, the most of the general public, if a horse scratched and then they bring the horse back, they're going to be really confused and really upset because maybe they didn't notice it, or maybe they don't understand why. So that's why once you're scratched as an MTO, you're out no matter what happens.
Yeah, and to Samich's point, his MTOs are auto-scratched unless they are announced that they're waiting. And that is true. I've seen that if you happen to tune into Ron Nicoletti or Andy Serling here in New York, they'll say they're keeping MTOs available. And then, right, Samich says it's happened a few times in 2019. And I was honestly just so frazzled by the situation because I'm looking at Gulfstream at Hallandale Beach. It's great weather. I go to the bathroom, I come back, and I thought I was watching something overseas in a hurricane. So I had no idea what was going on. So, again, I'm happy you and Samich maybe not just enlightened me, but, kind of threw that in there because Gulfstream, it could change really, really quick. Let's go on to what I thought was the best thing I saw. I'm not a fan of the best thing I saw because there are a lot of good things that we hope to see. I don't want to eliminate, I don't want to just put it down to one. Yesterday, I started this thing 2 weeks ago. Well, I shouldn't say that. Not this past Tuesday, so 8 days ago. And it's called Twitter Tuesday, and it's just a horse racing poll. And look at the results. It's really, really simple. This was what I think a lot of people thought was a stupid question based on the Jose Ortiz thing. 944 votes. That was way up. I think we had like 792 the first time around. You texted me last night, like in shock that this was doing so well. 80, what were there? Like 92 comments.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're looking to get to 1,000 votes and 100 comments, and we'll get to that point because this thing seems to grow. The question was, Twitter Tuesday's back, and here's the poll. If you owned a horse, what jockey would you want aboard? Overwhelmingly, everyone said Irad Ortiz Jr. Then I put Joel Rosario. I threw in Jose Ortiz and the other please name. And the reason I do that is because I don't want everyone to be constricted to those 3 or maybe 4. Say I threw in a Javier Castellano, Luis Saez, or a West Coast Umberto Rispoli, Tyler Gaffleone maybe in Florida or anything like that. I wanted to open it up so people can kind of get going. And this is exactly what happened. I'm happy people can get involved. Yeah, Dennis says, I try to send as many tracks and jockeys as possible. Dennis gave us some ideas for Mountaineer or wherever he gave, Turfway Park maybe, Rocco Bowen. What were your initial thoughts? Were there any comments or ideas that you agreed with? Or do you think Irad is just the overwhelming favorite at this point or anything like that? I think you might have said Florent Giroux, or maybe that was Jared.
Yeah, no, I said Florent Giroux. I would pick him over anybody. But Irad, yeah, it's no surprise that he won. I think Joel Rosario is interesting because I think you either absolutely love Joel Rosario or you hate him. Like a lot of people really hate Joel. I'm in the category that likes him, so I would have probably voted for him second after Florent Giroux, actually. With Irad, I think he's a great jockey. Don't get me wrong, but I also think he rides the best horses. This guy gets the best mounts, and that makes his job a hell of a lot easier. But Florent, for me, I just think the guy is a hell of a rider. The thing I really like about him, dirt, turf, speed horse, closer, doesn't matter. He can ride anything. I saw a lot of comments of, what's the distance or what's the surface, and all good comments, but doesn't matter. Florent Giroux can ride anything, and in my opinion, that's what makes a great jockey. And Irad Ortiz is another one. He can ride anything.
One of the things that I learned about a week ago when I graduated high school, when you put a question out there, the less information you give, the better the results and the comments are going to be. And that's why I just left it at what jockey would you want aboard? It's up for your interpretation. If you want to go the 1.125 miles distance, a typical like a Derby or a Travers, something like that, or a 1.16 miles, or even a 2-turn mile, something like that. Obviously not at Belmont, but a 2-turn mile, something like that. Like, yeah, it's up for your interpretation. And Aaron, you brought up a great point. It's really what you are looking for. If you want a turf rider, maybe you want Joel. Real quick, there was a couple comments, and I read them all, honestly. Thank you for whoever put out jockeys that I've never heard of. Thank you for that. Again, there might have been like one from Brazil or like a Mexico. I'm dead serious. If you want to scroll through them, ones I'd never heard of, maybe I'll have to look into those. One was Jose Lezcano on the turf. That might have been my favorite comment. Now, I don't agree Jose Lezcano is the best jockey, and I would take a lot on the turf. He is really, 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 really good on the turf. Kind of similar to like Julien Leperoux on the turf. I think Julian's much better on the turf. I really, really like that comment. I got a lot of comments, and Curtis said Pratt and Giroux might be the only jockeys we never yell at. I didn't put out any California jockeys just because I'm an East Coast guy. I'm sure if like someone like Magic were to do it, he would have had Rispoli, Pratt, and someone else. I don't know. Pick Mike Smith. The other one, and I want to throw this to you real quick before we move on. People were giving me a lot of crap about Jose Ortiz, and I just want to read off a few different stats. He won the Eclipse Award in 2017. I think Irad won in 18 and 19, and then he just won this year. So I don't want to hear that Jose Ortiz isn't a good rider. That's for starters. He doesn't ride nearly as much as he used to. That's one. Two, I'm just going to read off real quick a couple of the purse earnings where he finished. This was according to Equibase in that year. 2014, he was fourth. 2015, he was fourth. 2016, he was third. 2017, when he won the Eclipse, was first. 2018, he was second. 2019, he was second. Last year, he was seventh. So starting with 2014, he was fourth, third, first, second, seventh. I think a lot of people have forgotten how good Jose Ortiz is. So I don't want to hear anything about Jose Ortiz and he's not as good, or I'd rather have John Velasquez. Please take a look at some of the horses he's ridden on. That really, really, really bothered me. Sure, I don't care that he didn't get votes. I care more that he got crap, because Jose Ortiz is one of the best riders. I would still say top 5 riders in this country. Did that bother you as much as it bothered me?
No, but I don't know why people would not think he's a good jockey or something like that. I thought your poll, he deserved to be on it for sure. He's probably a more successful jockey than Joel Rosario is. And, so I don't know why he only got 5% of the votes. That's interesting to me. But no, it didn't bother me. I wasn't upset. I got sleep last night. It didn't keep me up.
I didn't. This bothered me.
It's
one of those things where I think people don't realize. I shouldn't say realize. I'm not saying people are stupid. They don't remember how good this guy was just a couple of years ago. Because I remember when I went to Saratoga the year after the junior summer for me, 2017, this guy was on top of the world, literally on top of the world. Won an Eclipse Award that year. So we're not that far removed. Anyone telling me I like John Velasquez, I don't think he's as good as Jose Ortiz is in this moment. Maybe if we're going off career achievement, sure, I don't disagree. That's just my take on it. The other thing, real quick, but is there anything you want to touch on one other point before we start handicapping today's card? Anything you want to touch on poll-wise?
No, I think you covered it.
Yeah, I was pretty animated, and I deserve to. It's my poll. Let's move on real quick. This is why I love Slim. Congrats to Chad Brown on the withers and risk-taking. The only reason I put this up there is because this is the guy I like. I don't care what's going on around the country. Slim is all in on Naira. I appreciate that. A New Jersey to a New York guy. I appreciate that because everyone's talking about Candyman Rocket and Moonlight Dio. No. Slim says we're talking about risk-taking in the withers. Thank you, Slim, for that, because people don't realize how good of a trainer Chad Brown is, even on the dirt. So any thoughts on that? Saratoga Slim has to talk about the Naira circuit.
Well, I love that he did say on the draft day podcast that risk take he would win the withers. So there he is right there with it. Now, he always says a Chad Brown horse or a Todd Pletcher horse will win the withers or the Wood or the Belmont, but he got this one right. So pat him on the back for that one.
That is true. And that's why Slim and I get along so well, because we know when it comes down to it, people could talk about Gulfstream and Keeneland. We know Saratoga is the place to be. Hence the Saratoga name, Saratoga Slim handle. All right, enough of my garbage. Let's move on to today's card. You actually responded to my tweet yesterday when I talked about the Rocket Hour. You said it's a tough sequence, and I don't disagree. We have a lot of similar opinions, which honestly we don't love. But when you get two minds that know what they're talking about, it is what it is. Hopefully we can cash here. We are starting with, just started scrolling our tickets or MultiRace, suggestions, whatever you want to call it, starting in race 7, claiming 12,500 through 10,000 for 4-year-olds and upward, which have never won 3 races lifetime, going 6 furlongs on the dirt. Aaron, I'm going to throw it to you. We do have a scratch in this race. It is the 5 Frank Alone. I know Aaron is not dumb enough to use Frank Alone anyway, so that scratch probably didn't affect you. What did you think of this race?
Well, I'll start with a question. Why is the 4 12-1 in this race? Do you have any idea?
Oh, you were throwing that to me. I'm sorry. Huh.
Because you used the 4, and the 4 is my question.
Why is the horse 12-1? I thought you said, will this horse go off at 12-1? Oh, yeah, I don't get it. Amador Sanchez and Edgard and just moving up the class ladder. This isn't a moving up the class ladder from 40 level, 40 to 35 non-winners of 3. These are not the best horses. So I'll take 12-1. If I can get that, I will be making a win bet. I promise.
Yeah. So I started off with a really simple one. I thought $5 to win on the 4 here. I really believe that this horse should not be 12-1. And if you get that price, I think you have to make a bet on this horse. I thought the 4, last time out won at the 12K claiming level. Obviously now it's a non-winners of 3. So it is a little bit of a jump up, but the claiming tag is the same. So yeah, I think this 4, I definitely think the 4 can win the race. So I put the 4 on top, trying to win 2 races in a row. I went to the 7, Cash Now next. 2 races back, won a starter allowance, race at Churchill Downs. Last time out, they said, let's try the turf. So they ran this horse on the turf. Didn't do well, beaten by 12 3/4 lengths, finished 11th. But back to the dirt today, and then wow, what a drop, down to the 12K level. From a class standpoint, you'd have to think this horse is going to be pretty tough to beat. So the 7 is another one I would definitely use. I was kind of lukewarm on this horse, but I do think the 8, Gmo, 2-1 is a little short, I think. But out of the Barboza barn for the first time today, and that's just a huge angle. And I think you got to play this horse if you're going multis or if you're going, exacta try. The 8 has to be involved here. A second place effort last time out at this level, but like I said, the barn change could really be a big step up for this horse. So those were the 3, or my top 3, I should say. But I have the 4 on top.
Yeah, this race was really, really interesting because of that fact. I don't think we're getting 12-1. You used, I'm sorry, who did you say? You used a 4?
4, 7, and 8.
4, 7, 8, yeah. So I'm not going to touch on those. Samich has a point here. The 4 is the 3rd best speed, and I don't disagree necessarily. It's one of those situations. I kind of went deep because if we look at the 7, the 7's dropping in class off a turf effort. I don't really know why Cash Now was on the turf last time. I'll be honest. I love Brad Cox. I don't get it. Okay, Gmo. I expect Barbosa to get this one going a little bit too. I assume that's probably why you use that one. I like Rohan Crichton, but Irad's going to pick up the mount for a better trainer. I don't have Rohan Crichton's numbers in front of me. I just know Victor Barbosa is better, to be honest. Like, I don't have stats behind it. I do want to throw in the 9, Cool Hand Coupe, excuse me. The reason I wanted to do that was I hate Paco Lopez coming from off the pace. I really, really do. But this does look like there's some speed in here. So I looked at the horse like the 4, think will show speed. Cash Now, the 7 will have speed. I think the 8, Gemo, whatever, going to be sitting behind the pace. Can Cool Hand Coupe, excuse me, sit the perfect trip? I think he can. I really do. And faced a little bit tougher. Race 3 back on the turf. Again, a lot of turf. But this horse is 2 for 5 on the dirt. That was the other thing I forgot to mention. I'm happy I got that going. Can he find the form that he did last August? Maiden claim broke the maiden there. And then at Laurel, the next time out, starter optional claiming 25, both on the dirt. Those were races that were taken off the turf. I never really understood why this horse was still entered for the turf after that. 2 straight dirt efforts. Yeah, let's throw him on the turf now. Don't really understand it, but I'm going to take a shot. Did you consider the 9 at all, or are you just so gung-ho on the 4 and 8? 4,
no, I definitely think the 9 is the horse to play when it comes to who's going to come off the pace here. I think the 9 is going to sit a pretty decent trip, maybe in 4th or 5th, because there's just a lot of other speed in the race. So I think the 9 is definitely one you have to play as well. To that point, it's like, okay, who else can we maybe look for in a closer? The other one that likes to come from out of it is the 2, Handsome Prince. So I kind of thought, this is one that maybe I wouldn't play. But if you look the last couple of races, the horse was coming from off the pace, kind of flattens out. I think going to need a pace meltdown, but the 2 might be one to throw in underneath in an exacta or a try. I don't think this horse is going to win, but can hit the board. How the pace shapes up is definitely going to be the big factor here. And my suspicion is the winner of this race is going to be the one of the speed horses that can sit off and wait patiently and pounce. Because even though we're trying to make a case for some closers, there really aren't a lot of strong closers in the race. So who is going to sit off that pace as a speed and then pounce on them when they turn for home? I think that's who the winner is going to be. It's just kind of hard to determine who that horse is going to be.
Yeah, I completely agree. There are a few other ones, like the 1 is probably cheap speed. The 3 is probably cheap speed as well. To your point on the 2, I don't disagree. I just think 6 furlongs is a touch short for him. And this is one of the things for closers, you got to really find your distance. I hate closers cutting back personally. And you could see he finishes in the money at this distance, 6 furlongs, 5 of 6 in the money, only 1 win, a lot of seconds and thirds. And that's not because his horse can't run at this distance. It's because I think he probably needs a 6.5 or 7. Again, in the group of 6, he's done his best work going 7 furlong. I don't disagree at all with what you said. I completely agree, actually. Just don't know if the distance is exactly his best. And that's fine. I think 8-1, you can make a case for that horse. So that's, if you like that as a win bet, that would make perfect sense to me. Let's move on to the 8th race. This is a quality group. Almost not quite stakes level, but some horses have some stakes experience. This is allowance optional claiming 62,500 for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upward, going 5 furlongs on the turf. This is my type of race. 5 furlongs on the turf, folks. Do not get a snack. Do not get a drink. You're going to miss the action. We might see a time. We're probably going to see a time under 57-1, something like that. I really thought Tracy Ann's Legacy was going to be very, very, very tough. Now, I'll be honest. I didn't single Tracy Ann's Legacy, but I do believe she's going to be tough. This is a Paco Lopez who I love now because she's going to be on the lead. But there is a lot of speed in here, as there should be. It's a 5 furlong turf. So I used the 1, the 3, and the 7. I'm going to touch on Tracy Ann's Legacy a little bit more, and then I'm going to talk about the 1, Choose Joy, and then I'll kind of let you bounce around and see what your thoughts are. Tracy Ann's Legacy comes out of the Abundantia? I don't know. I'm not good with stakes names. Let's just call it something normal for a change. Abundantia stake, sure, we'll call it that. Hear My Prayer, I believe, went on to win a race this past weekend or ran really well. So I apologize for not knowing off the top of my head. That was a really, really tough group. She is probably the quickest speed in here. I don't see anyone, and Aaron, tell me if I'm wrong, anyone keeping her off the lead. This is interesting. These races are tough. I don't really know if there's a ton of other speed. Maybe the 5, Bernie, but Bernie's going to be trying turf for the first time. So I don't really know about that. I looked to the 1, Choose Joy. The reason I did, and tell me if I'm wrong, her only turf start came at this exact spot, lost by a nose. So something about the turf sprinting made sense. Now, this is my pet peeve, and I'm going to do it to myself because why not? Steve Doskin, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name, 0 for 20. You can't have 1 win so I can get a little more confidence in you. He owns and trains, so I do like that aspect. I just think this filly will be setting the perfect trip, and I really liked what she did. You taught me to always look at a horse the second time trying something new. You taught me that. And we've talked about it on the show, maybe with Mike or Magic has talked about it. This is her second time on the turf, so I expect her to somewhat improve at this level. She's not moving up, so I thought the 1 was one to consider. I used the 7 as well, 1, 3, 7. What were your initial thoughts or anything you want to add to, detract from, anything like that?
Yeah, I really think you got the right 3 there. 1, 3, 7 are my top 3 horses. I put the 3 Tracy Ann's Legacy on top, and I agree with that thing you said. I really just believe this horse is squarely the one to beat. But I thought very strongly about number 1, Choose Joy, and you kind of said it. Second time trying turf, first time almost won. You look at that speed figure that came back; it's very comparable to the rest of this field. And you kind of talked about, there could be some speed in the race. I kind of think Choose Joy can sit off because she did last time. And I'm not saying she's going to be way back, but she can sit a couple of lengths behind and to be the first one to pounce. So I did an exacta box, $5 exacta box with the 1 and the 3, 3 on top, 1 second. I did have the 7, like saying third. A horse I liked in 4th, who I think can kind of make some improvement today, is the 2 Spun Glass. Draw a line through that last race. It wasn't good, but the race 2 back, the race 3 back, this horse looked pretty darn good. And I think this is one, if you're going to look for an upsetter, the 2 it could be the one that could jump up and pull an upset. But really for me, I was very strong on the 1 and the 3. and I don't blame you for playing the 7. I think this one is the most straightforward of the 4 races we're going to talk about. The 3 should win the race. Simple. The 1 and 7 are the logical ones to beat the 3. Simple.
Yeah. So real quick, I just pulled up time form, and I will not be sharing that. A, because I don't have the right to, and B, I just don't want to be honest. I want to keep the entries up. I pulled it up and it said slow pace, and now I'm looking at it, I kind of agree, because I don't think this is a race where you're going to find any closers. I really don't. The 3 will go out, and this was to my point earlier. I said the 5, Bernie, maybe. Bernie's trying turf for the first time, and I don't think Bernie's all that good. Granted, Charlestown Oaks is a race that's going to come back much better, but I don't want to try, and the Qatar Ford Springs Stakes last time, this is not a spot where I want to try a first-time turfer. Sorry, not for me. Just like Choose Joy, I had no part of on January 10th. Wanted 0 part. But now I've seen what she can do. I don't know what Bernie's going to do, and Juan Carlos Avila scares me. Always does, going against a trainer like that. And Edgard, obviously, we know. Losing to Reneth isn't bad, and then losing to Wicked Whisper and Fly on Angel isn't bad either. I don't know. Trying his distance on the turf for the first time, it kind of seems to me, Aaron, I'm going to throw this to you, just kind of seems like a dartboard. And we're going to throw a dart here, see if it lands. Or it could be this is the perfect spot to maybe get some value and get a race in her before we crank her up again. I'm just not about Bernie in this spot. You're going to have to probably take a short price just because you see a ton of stakes races. Are you kind of along the same lines?
Yep, no doubt about it. But I do think that one is they're gonna gun this horse to the lead. Usually you try something new for the first time, you try to get out, you try to get some speed into him. So yeah, but I'm with you. I don't want any part of the 5. If the 5 wins, like I said, we just got beat this race, and that won't be the first or the last time that that's happened. So but again, I just think it's very straightforward. It's a very straightforward race. The 1, 3, or 7 should win the race. I
completely agree. Real quick, Ed, and I'm not going to read the whole comment, but I do appreciate I think that these were probably Aaron's picks, your Friday picks. He did really, really well at Oaklawn. I forgot to play you your song. I'm sorry. I told you I would. Let's do it again today, and we could do it tomorrow. Yeah. It's pronounced Born. Okay, I'm sorry if it's pronounced Born and not Bernie. I apologize. Let's move on to race 9. Don't you just love these allowance optional low price horses for state bred, no less? Allowance optional claiming $12,500 for state bred, so Florida bred. 4-year-olds and upward going 6 furlongs on the dirt. I'm going to disagree with you. I thought this was the most straightforward race. Not that last race wasn't, but I thought this was the race where I had a strong opinion. I'm going to save that, though, because we like to go in order, and I like a routine. So that means, Aaron, you're up. Kind of tell me what you thought of this race. This is a field of 10, no scratches. I thought there were a few horses that could make some noise, but I really had a strong opinion. What did you think of this one?
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I have had strong opinions on this show in the past with Florida bred races on the dirt, and I get my ass beat every time because they don't show up. And last week there was one, I think on Thursday. I can't think of the horse's name, but Saffie Joseph Jr. trained it, and it sucked. So I went with I'm going to go with a trifecta box here, and I'm going to try to get a little more creative. I looked at this race and immediately thought the 8 front loaded should win, but the bastard probably is not going to show up. So I'm going to use the 8 for sure. You look at it and it's like, okay, this horse has a lot of class and has been running for a while. 7-year-old gelding, by the way. So I'll use the 8 for sure. And gets Irad Ortiz today. I thought that was obviously a good sign. So top choice, but I'm not putting a ton of money on it because I'm not going to rely on it. It should probably be the best way to say it. The second horse I used was the 10, Vinny Van Gogh. And this is a horse claimed last time out, and now Paco Lopez gets aboard again after riding this horse last time out to a second place finish at this level. So maybe for the new barn, a little bit of improvement there. I thought the 10 was interesting. The 2, obviously a very interesting horse as well. Another horse that got claimed last time out, but beat a very similar field to this. So the 2 obviously is one you got to look at. And then I also looked at the 9 Pro Quality. So 2, 8, 9, and 10. Real quick on the 9, this horse is interesting to me because this is like your kind of horse. I feel like very consistent, always hits the board. It seems like, the last 3 races anyway. And now it gets, he gets Tyler Gaffalione to ride. I thought that was an interesting jockey upgrade. So I'm interested to see the tactics on the 9 here. They've kind of placed this horse forwardly. Tyler Gaffalione, what does he read in this race? Do we try to get him more involved? Do we try to take him back? I think he's very interesting. And at 8-1, I definitely think he is one that is going to jump up and run a decent race today. So I went 2, 8, 9, 10, 50 cent exacta box here.
So I have so much to talk about on this race. You know what? Let me pull up Vinny's question first. I have a handicapping question for the next race. So I assume, right, for this one, what do you think of the 1, 2, and 10 in the 9th? You know what? Let me keep that up while I talk about this. The Game Boy Benny sold Dolly. I think I'm saying that right. Game Boy Benny sold Dolly and Vinny Van Gogh all raced last time out. Soldali won pretty easily, kind of took the lead relatively easily and drew away. Game Boy Benny didn't make up much ground, kind of had his chance, and the 10, Vinny Van Gogh, had his chance as well. So I kind of took it away from that race and said, look, like, I don't see this repeating. I think I took 2 things into account. One, same level, same exact level, same thing. 22-1. Don't think it's that fast for 6 furlongs. If you do, you can disagree with me. I don't, personally. The next thing you could say, well, Enrique Amato is gone, and now you get Jose Garofalo, who was at 0%, but keeps Miguel Vasquez. That's what kept me aboard, not the trainer change. Trainer changes to me are important, Aaron. Before, I'll throw this to you real quick before I touch on my top choice. The trainer change is important when the horse is switching conditions or doing something different. When you're running at the same level, to me, it's irrelevant. I'm sorry. It's completely irrelevant. As long as Jose Garofalo isn't hurting this horse, and I assume he's not, then he should run the same. Like, it's literally like a month later. So I don't want to hear about a trainer change. People tell me that, a trainer change. Okay, it's 6 furlongs at the same level. Just don't mess it up. Seriously, like, put something in the microwave for 2 minutes. Just don't click 20. Do the same thing. Like, come on, folks. I don't want to hear that. So I kept Soldali. Do you agree, or do you think that this is a trainer change I'm not factoring in as much?
No, not really. I think you're right. And I think the biggest thing is it's not like 3 months from now. It's real quick. So if you get to this situation and you look at it and go, oh, no, this is a bad barn switch, the longer that horse is with that person, the worse it's going to get. And I think your analogy of the microwave thing is kind of hilarious, but kind of true. You just got to be very simple. It's just 28 days. And so I definitely think the horse can come right back and run very similar. There's just not a lot of change unless you really just don't have a flat ass clue what you're doing. There shouldn't be a lot of change in the 2 today. No.
Right. And to be honest, this is a little concerning. I wanted to bring this up. The best point you could make as to why you don't like the trainer change is because this horse hasn't had a recorded work since January 2nd. If that's something you're telling me, I would agree with that because I don't love that. Now, maybe there could be something wrong with the horse. I'm just going to assume that he won by almost 2 lengths, that he's going to be better. My top choice is all front-loaded. If you take a look at some of the runners that he's run against, moving from Jose Garofalo to Kelly Breen and now getting Irad, good luck, because he is cutting in condition from the 25 down to the 12.5, and he wasn't bad at the 25. Excuse me, sorry about that. He wasn't horrible. And then he won at the 25 2 starts back. So good luck beating this horse. I think he's clearly the class of the field. Real quick on Pro Quality, I put Pro Quality 4th. 2 points. I hate disagreeing with you because we see races so similarly. I don't think a mile is what he wants to do. That's why I put him 4th and nothing higher. I love the price. 6 furlongs. excuse me, I think a mile, I said that wrong. I think a mile is better for this horse. Personally, some tactical speed and can grind it out. I don't think he's quite good enough to go 6 furlongs. And the Tyler Gaffleone thing is a fair point. I quickly went through all the other rides. He just hasn't had any. And I've always focused on that group of 6. It's clearly an upgrade. I just don't know realistically where he would have gone because all the other riders seem to be coming back. Vinny Van Gogh has Paco again. Ira probably had his choice with the 8 front loaded. Maybe the 7, Riva Durla. All right, I'll be honest, that horse sucks. So I don't know if he would have wanted him. So I do agree it's an upgrade. I just don't really know. It's one of those things where it's like, where does he really go if he doesn't have any other mounts? I can't talk you off Pro Quality because I do like this horse. I just don't know if 6 furlong sprinting is his best. Does that concern you at all? Obviously, a try box is different. You don't need him to win. But I agree. If I was playing your way, I'm absolutely using Pro Quality. I just think for my betting aspect, I can't see him as a true win candidate.
Yeah, I think he'll be a little surprising if he wins, but he can definitely hit the board and spice things up. And listen, I'm with you. I think front loaded should be awfully tough in here, but these Florida breds on the dirt have just burned me. So I'm definitely expecting front loaded to win, and then at the same time, I'm expecting him to just stop because that's what they've been doing on me all last couple of weeks. So no, but I'm with you. Front loaded, you're right. When you look at the horses that this one's been up against, they're better than what they're seeing here. And to your point about the 1, 2, and the 10, they all come out of the same race. The 7 was in that race as well. That just wasn't a very impressive race to me. It just wasn't that good. So I'll take the winner, but I don't. The other ones I'm pretty lukewarm on. I did use Vinny Van Gogh. I probably wouldn't if I was playing a pick 4. But for my purposes, I do think this is a definite hit the board type candidate. So yeah, I really don't think this is as easy as just 2-8 and move on. I think we could see some weirdness here, but for your case, I really hope the 2 or the 8 wins it.
This Mike says no love for the 5. I would have love for the 5 if I didn't see the 8 run better at this level. But I'm being dead serious. I hate handicapping like that, but I would say at least that is probably the class dropper I would want. I don't look at the 5 and say that he's better than the 8. What I would say, to Aaron's point, if you hate that race, and that's a Sold Dolly race with Vinny Van Gogh and Game Boy Benny, and you're going to fade them all, then I'm using the 5. So that's always interesting, right? So, a lot of people, for example, Dennis is agreeing with our Stephanie and gave us a ticket. That's obviously craft your own ticket. 1, 2, 8, 9, 10. What would make me believe that Game Boy Benny or Vinny Van Gogh is going to outkick Sold Dolly here? Personally, I don't see it. So that's going to eliminate the 1 and the 10 in my book. And Pro Quality, I could see using. To Mike's point, you would have to be against Sold Dolly. If I was against Sold Dolly, I would highly consider the 5. I'm not going to take a horse that hasn't finished in the money since September and hasn't won a race since May. Personally, when I see a better class dropper. Aaron, are you along the same lines, or are you kind of rethinking a little bit?
Yeah. I don't know. I think getting Ortiz aboard was interesting. This horse just hasn't looked good in a while. I don't really like horses that just get consistently beat over and over. I thought about Royal Squeeze because I was trying to find a horse to kind of juice up the trifecta. What I would do if I used the 5 was throw out the 10. I would do something like 2, 5, 8, and 9 try box if I was going to use that 5, and just throw out the 10 and just say, hey, I'll take the winner out of that allowance that I didn't think was very good. And then I'll do kind of newer horses, with the rest of them. So if you wanted to do that, and if you want to get a little more risky, throw out the 10 and go 2, 5, 8, 9. I wouldn't hate it.
Real quick, I'll just throw some stats out. I will throw out some time form numbers again. I'm not going to show it, but this is what I'm looking at. Since he ran against a horse named Mijos and Sniper Shot, who's really good, his time form numbers have just gotten worse. So starting at April 17th, 124, 112, 100, 105, 101. 96.93. So if we just start at the 105, let's say last August, 105, 101, 96, 93, and put in a 74. I know it's a long layoff. That's too drastic for me to get involved. If he beats me, I won't be upset. Let's move on to the last race. This is what I thought was a tough one. Claiming 20,000 through 16,000 for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upward, going a mile on the turf. And because, again, we go in order and I like a routine, I'm going to start. There are a couple scratches. No surprise. The 1 time to 2-step. I will not be 2-stepping. She will be staying in her barn. Mm-hmm. And the 10, Reggae Revolution. Didn't really fit. Don't mind the enter. I didn't really know where to go. My top choice was Leah Rowe. I hate Woodbine races, so I didn't use Leah Rowe, I don't believe, last time. But Golden Curl came back well. Barika, I think, might have been a Danny Gargan horse that was running in New York and ran well as also. If I did use Leah Rowe, I don't remember, so I apologize. Someone maybe tell me if I did or not. It was the 7th race, so we covered it here. That horse I like. I think this is a significant drop. Going to be tactical. You could see a bunch of, if you look, their columns, what I'm looking at, the first column is the post position. The second column is where they're breaking and things like that. And a lot of 2s. I think it's going to be sitting in a perfect spot. I thought you can go all over. I used the 2, 3, 4, 5. So really, really simple. No, folks, I didn't just pick 4 in a row. That's not what we're doing here. It just happened to work out that way. And you can look at the odds outside of the 8, a little bit of good. 6 through 12, and with taking the 10 out, kind of look like garbage, in my opinion. One thing to note, the 3 Cavassier, how do I not use a horse, not the same spelling, but based on Cognac? I had to use that horse. Those were my top 2. I'm going to throw it to you. I used Cavassier, just another class drop, getting Jose Ortiz. This is where I think Jose Ortiz can make a difference. I really, really do. I think he's one of the more patient riders, not quite as patient as Joel Rosario. Joel Rosario, you almost have to give him a call halfway through the race and tell him that they've started sometimes. But this is the type of effort. First of all, Evil Lynn, unbelievable turf runner. So factor that in for 3-year-olds, 2 starts back when she first came to America. This is going to be, I think, a rider race where Jose Ortiz will have a big say on where this horse finishes. How far back is she going to be? That's the question. If it's extremely slow, I like Leah Rowe. If this thing heats up anyway, I think the 4 All About Cathern can get involved. The 2 who I use, Lovely Brown, can get involved. Maybe not some of the other ones that don't look that great. But I thought Lovely Brown has Cavassier has a shot. It would be nice to see Eddie Keneally get off the Schneid, who is 0 for 23. But Eddie, I trust. And Eddie, we trust. Aaron, where did you go? Were you kind of in with those horses 2 through 5, or are you going to throw something else out there that I did not mention?
I think Cavassier is very interesting. I definitely think this is, the quote-unquote class of the field, coming out of allowance races at Churchill and Tampa and dropping to the 20K claiming level. A couple of issues with Cavassier. Number 1, closers on this Gulfstream Park turf, that's questionable. So I was happy to see you didn't go short in this race, because I think that's going to be working against the 3. And kind of a suspicious drop, all the way to 20K. I guess you could say the horse kind of needs a drop, and it's true, but I don't know. I thought it was kind of strange, but I definitely think this is like a defensive type of use for me. I agreed with the 3, 4, and the 5 that you mentioned. You didn't use the horse I picked on top, and the horse I'm going to place my wager on. $5 win wager on number 8, Little Bit Good. I think this is a horse that you should like, Ricky, because the horse is very, very, very consistent. The horse is always around. And boy, do we get a rider upgrade today to the one to the guy who won your poll yesterday that we talked about. Irad Ortiz Jr. jumps aboard here for the first time. I think a mile is exactly what this horse wants to do. I looked at the race 3 back, where the horse lost at this level by a nose, going a mile with Paco Lopez aboard. I think she's going to be the right price, and I just think she catches a field she can beat today. I don't think she's quite as good as the 3, but I think she could have a tactical advantage over the 3. I kind of think this horse is going to sit mid-pack and going to have a chance to make a run at the leaders pretty quickly, where the 3 is going to have to come from way out of it. So I thought the 8 was worth taking a shot. Again, just a $5 win wager. It's not a strong opinion, but I just thought the 8 was worth taking a shot with here in a race that is just kind of a head scratcher. There's a lot of different ways you can go. And, the biggest thing was I also like the 3, 4, 5. And you look at it, well, in exotics, it's going to be hard to make money if you like 3, 4, 5, 8 out of the race. You've got 4 horses. They're the 4 favorites of the race. Well, you can't bet a try or an exacta. So I went with the win wager on the horse with the better odds because I think they're all fairly even on paper. So to me, it became pretty clear that I just need to go with the win on the 8 based on the dynamics of the other horses that I picked. So $5 win on the 8 for me. Just hoping that this filly kind of trips out in this race.
I consider you to be one of the best handicappers / horsemen that I know, that I've ever met. You know you're not getting 9-2 with Irad Ortiz and Ron Spatz. Stop that. Stop lying to the viewers. Stop lying to yourself, more importantly. You know you're not getting 9-2. To that point, though, I'd rather have the 4 All About Catherine, who I think will be a better price because she finished better. I don't know how good the 4 and 8 are, to be honest with you. I like moving forward. I think the 5 is the best class dropper. I think the 2 will probably be the closest to the lead. In saying all of that, I thought this was a completely paceless race. I'm trying to draw up a race where I see Cavassier closing. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the 8 will be just ahead of the 3. Again, sitting here, me and my little boxes, tier A, B, and C, like a little kid drawing. I see the 3 and the 8 being in that tier C. So I tier A is your speed, tier B is your mid-pack, or 1, 2, 3. However, tier C is your closers. I just see the 3 being a better closer than the 8 and coming out of better races. I think the 4 is in that mid-pack tier B. And I see the 2 and the 5, Leah Rowe, in that tier A. The only horse I could see would be maybe the 1, Talk the Talk, because this at the one time going this distance in the group of 6, she was on the lead. She looks like crap, so I don't expect her to hold on, and she's 0 for 3 on the turf. I don't disagree with the 8. We both know you're not getting 9-2. So I kind of looked the other way and said, look, 9-2, I don't think that's going to happen. I see this horse being the favorite, which should float everyone up a touch. And this is
You think the 8 is going to be the favorite?
Maybe not. Let's say co-favorite or vying for favoritism, right? I would venture and say the 8 goes off shorter than 4-1, which means you're vying for favoritism unless there is a 6-5, and I think we agree there's no 6-5 horse in here. So in my book, your favorite could be what, 5-2? Seriously, 5-2? Mm-hmm. I could see the 8 being 4-1 or shorter, which means if their favorite's 5-2, 4-1 to 5-2 means in my book you're vying for favoritism. So that's where I'm at. How about this? I'll throw this to you real quick before we wrap up and give our final tickets. How short is too short for you on the 8 on a win bet?
Well, I think if the 8 goes below 4-1, it becomes a little too short. I really thought it might go the other way because I think speed figures get bet pretty hard, and then connections are second. And I don't think the speed figures aren't great on this 8. So I was kind of thinking we would get 9-2. I don't know. Maybe it's wishful thinking. I think the 3 will take the most money. I think the 3 will be about 2-1. And I definitely think the 5 is going to take a little bit of money. And then it's just going to be a situation. Does the 4 or the 8 go off third choice? I think one of them's third choice and one of them's fourth. Let's say 7-2. Let's say 7-2. Anything below 7-2 is too short.
If Dennis is right about 6-1, then I would highly consider changing it. I just don't see that happening. You're a smart handicapper. Well, again, one of the smartest I know. Ron Spatz is winning at 21%. Irad is winning 26% of his mounts. A lot of people are going to go to the track, see that number, or maybe do their research before, and say, I'm going to bet this horse. It's just going to be very simple. So I just don't see that happening. For my sake, I shouldn't say this. For my sake, I hope you're right just on this point. Unfortunately, I hope you're wrong, because if I'm still alive, so that means I can cash. If I'm not alive, then I'll be rooting for the 8. Yeah, I just don't see it happening, but I could be wrong. I think a lot of people go to the track and are going to see those two hook up or that duo come together, combine. Just not going to get it. That's just my opinion. All right, well, let's give our final ticket here. I'll start with race 7. It's the late pick 4, race 7. 4, 7, 8, 9 with 1, 3, 7 with 2, 8 with 2, 3, 4, and 5. The race I just wanted to focus on was the 9th race. We just kind of talked about it in depth. I went with the 2 Sold Dolly and the 8 front loaded. Sold Dolly beat the horses that I thought had a shot at this level. So as long as, again, Jose Garofalo doesn't press 20 minutes on the microwave instead of 2, this horse should run a similar effort. And the 8 front loaded is just dropping out of much better in my book and gets to Kelly Breen, who's leaving Jose Garofalo's barn, and gets Irad Ortiz. Enough for me. Aaron, what were your wagering suggestions here for Wednesday afternoon?
Yeah, just a $32 total investment today, because I was really just kind of sketchy on this whole card today. $5 to win on number 4 to start the sequence here in race number 7. The 4 horse is 12-1 right now, morning line. That's one, Ricky, I'll totally agree with. I don't think we're getting anywhere close to 12-1, but still, I think we'll get a decent price and enough to bet a win. Race 8, a $5 exacta box with the 1 and the 3. Like I said on the show, very straightforward race. Really believe the 3 should win that thing, but I think the 1 sneaky second-time turf. Race 9, 50-cent trifecta box, 2, 8, 9, and 10. I do really like the 8 in race 9, but I've been burned by Florida Breds on the dirt here lately, so I'm going to just spread here, go 2, 8, 9, 10 trifecta box. And in race 10, $5 to win on the 8 to round it off. And like I say, $32 investment today for me.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't blame you. This isn't the best sequence of all time necessarily. It's just one of those situations where we're going to take a couple stands. We agree on the most part. It's funny. We agree a lot. And that's when I know I have a good feeling, because we agree here, except that last race. So hopefully one of us is alive. All right. Enough horse racing for today, because we have the Super Bowl to quickly talk about. We'll keep the ticket up. Let's do that. Let's keep our tickets for anyone maybe tuning in late. We're going to remove this, and there's a picture that I want to show. I just got this online, so don't tell me that I don't have copyright. I literally typed this into Google. You can all get it. Enough with this copyright garbage. This was Patrick Mahomes. Look, this was him after every single play. He's looking at his offensive line. He's looking at Andy Reid. He's looking at Darrell Williams. He's looking at Tyreek Hill. He's looking at Kelsey. Can you guys do something? This man was playing 1 on 53 on Sunday night. Now, it's borderline a miracle. Obviously, you guys know the score. We're not going to get into the breakdown. I'm not Ryan Clark. I don't care about that. We're here to make fun of Jared. So if Jared ever listens to the final 10 minutes, come on, hop on, listen to it. Tell me what you think about your great Chiefs. They were just so great. They scored a whole total of 9 points with no touchdowns. They were awesome. This was Mahomes' face. He's like, are you serious? This is the 52-man roster you gave me? I heard Travis Kelsey. I heard this. I heard that. I will be honest. I didn't think it would make that much of a difference, the tackles. And then that's my fault, because you win and lose games. And this is great. Tough luck, Pat. Yeah, tough luck, Pat. What would the Patrick Mahomes horse racing comment for his performance be? I have something in mind. So I guess this is like a TrackMan comment. I assume that's what he means, when you see the running line. I would say, I would put 2 comments. 1, needs help, and then comment or a slash, or I don't really know. This is good. This is going to be a little mean. Not focused. That's more of a shot at Jared because
needs blinkers.
Yeah, needs blinkers. That would be perfect. On Sunday, I texted Jared because I'm not a nice person. And for all the Lamar stuff that he gave me, and I can't wait to throw it to you because I don't know if you're watching with him. I said on Sunday night at 8:30, so around halftime, maybe third quarter, what's going on with Mahomes? Is he not prepared? He said, yeah, I think that's it. He's not prepared. You nailed it. And then I responded like, not a nice guy I am. Well, on the bright side, Lamar Baker didn't win this year either. Shockingly, I didn't get a response. I want to throw it to you.
Please
A,
do.
Just your thoughts. And B, if you want to throw in a horse racing comment as well, sure, we can tack on. I might have taken a little bit of yours, so I apologize. What were your thoughts? Again, we got to get this comment out of here because his name is Ghost of Mahomes and mine is Lamar Jackson. His is self-explanatory. He'll get into that. I have a reason that I put mine up there. So, Aaron, take it away.
Well, first of all, Ricky, you have the right to tell Jared anything you want. You should have been way more mean for the shit that he's given you all year long. So he has to take that, and he can't say a word. And if I was a mean guy like you, I basically have the right to do whatever I want to him as well for him giving me shit about Baker all year long. Trust me. I didn't do it, but trust me, he would just have to sit and listen. Here's what happened in this game. The Chiefs got too pretty. They did not prepare for this game. It was very obvious. And I'm not talking about Mahomes. I thought Mahomes played fantastic. And a lot of people go, what are you talking about? Look at his stats. He was the only guy that showed up ready to play. He was playing out of his freaking mind. He was making passes that were unfreaking believable and hitting guys right in the hands, and they couldn't catch them. The rest of Mahomes' team did not prepare for this game, and you cannot tell me otherwise. You're talking about Travis Kelce can't catch a ball. You're talking about Tyreek Hill can't catch a ball. None of the other receivers stepped up and did anything. Their offensive line, it might as well have just been you and I out there playing. They didn't prepare. They showed up thinking they were going to beat their ass. And the biggest disappointment, after all that I just said about Mahomes having no help offensively, their defense was god-awful. Their defense looked like the first year Mahomes played when the Patriots beat them because they couldn't stop them. That was the biggest disappointment to me. Their defense acted like they were just going to show up and they were going to beat their ass and, it wasn't going to be a contest. And Brady made them look stupid, but it wasn't just Brady. The running, they couldn't stop the run. They couldn't get pressure on the quarterback. They had receivers wide open. Honey Badger, where were you? I only saw you when you were trying to mouth Brady. I mean, you were good at that, but it was awful. It was a terrible performance by the Chiefs. They're embarrassing. This was an embarrassing game for Kansas City.
I don't know if you remember, on a serious note, Sam Darnold once said after a Monday night game, I believe, I thought I was seeing ghosts.
Yeah.
He said that about the New England Patriots. So the first thing when you put Ghost on Mahomes, I was like, oh, crap, maybe he was seeing ghosts. I don't think anyone's that stupid to say they were seeing ghosts. So I don't think Mahomes would ever do that. To your point, though, Mahomes was playing by himself. There were guys not there. There's one thing to not make a spectacular play, and there's another thing to not just catch the ball or block someone. It was a simple thing.
There would be four guys in the backfield. Mahomes would run backwards 30 yards, dodge them all, get away, dive. He's midair. He throws one-handed 40 yards, hits a guy right in the hands for a touchdown. They can't catch the ball. It's like, I don't know what more the guy could have done.
Yeah, and that's a fair point. I think Magic talked about it yesterday, and no, Magic's not the biggest football guy, and good luck with Jared Goff. You're going to be in for a real great 6-10 season. He gave some great analysis. This is more of making fun of Jared, honestly, this segment. But they did a better job talking about football. In all seriousness, Brady's just the GOAT. If we look at the other side, to do it, I was listening to Nick Wright on Fox Sports. He said if you break down Brady's, I think, 21-year career now or something like that, you could break it into thirds. So 7 years, 7 years, 7 years. Each three of his careers, if you were to do that, break it into thirds, they're all Hall of Fame worthy. That's pretty incredible. And then we did it with a new team. even more incredible during the COVID year. Granted, he had a lot of talent, but we've seen before, like the Philadelphia Eagles, the dream team with Vince Young, and they got Nnamdi Asomugha and all this, Deshaun Jackson and X, Y, and Z, LaShawn McCoy. They were horrible, and they got disbanded. Real quick, before we wrap this segment, this face might be Jared's picture in my contact book, and if it is, I'll be more than happy to come on here and share that next time. Oh, tomorrow. I'm deciding if I'm going to be that much, because you're right. I should ramp it up a little bit because he was not nice. I'm not going to curse. He was not nice. He was not a nice man. The second point, Lamar Jackson is my name. And I'm going to take this off. I had the box score that I was going to show, but you guys can look at that. You don't need me to do that. I'm just going to bring me and you here for a minute. Lamar Jackson. Ricky P15, 2 points. One, Lamar, I know you watched. You can't play any worse than that. And if you ever get to a Super Bowl, please don't play worse than that. You can't. You physically can't. Outside of you getting hurt, which is not your fault, you can't play worse than that. They scored 9 points. If you score one touchdown, you played better than Mahomes in my book. Two, this is a wake-up call for everyone else in the AFC, including your Cleveland Browns. The Chiefs are beatable. I came on here on Friday and said, let's pump the dynasty talks. Let's do it. No one really listened to me. Part 2. Part 3, Jared told me there were going to be 72 points scored. Are they playing the Super Bowl twice? If they play twice, they might get to 72. Jared forgot to mention they were going to play the game twice. There might be a rematch this Sunday we're not aware of. So, Jared, unfortunately, there were only 40 points scored. Luckily, again, now I'm 2 for 2. Don't have to do the show outside. And one thing, Magic brings up a good point. Tune in. Maybe I will the next time you do Blinkers Off. I know Jared was pretty upset when I did that last time. He said I needed an appointment, and that's fair. I probably do. I shouldn't do that. Again, the second time was completely by accident. The first time was I was invited on. So I will. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to barge on because that's business. Who knows, though? Who knows? Maybe Aaron and I can work out a point where I just hop on randomly and Jared doesn't know about it, and I might be wearing my Lamar jersey and my Ravens hat. Or I might get a Mahomes wig and wear it around and make fun of him as well. Who knows? Moral of the story, the Chiefs are destined for a dynasty. They might win 9 Super Bowls in a row based on the performance Sunday night. And, Mahomes is the best thing since sliced bread is what it comes down to. So. Yeah. I mean, there was a part of me that thought it was funny. I'm not going to lie. Part me coming on randomly?
No. A part of me of the Super Bowl. Like, back in the third quarter, I was like, even though I bet the Chiefs, I was like, yeah, kind of serves them right for talking shit all year long. So, yeah, it was all right. You know
what? And we talked about this. You've always brought this up more than me, but I kind of just formulated it in my head. Mm-hmm. He did this to himself.
Yeah.
Again, I said before the show, if you work for the team and you are high like this, and you're hyping up your team, I would never come back at you because that is your place of work. He's just as much of a fan as anyone else. Now, maybe you're a fan, but you're a fan. Come on, you put yourself in a spot again. Ravens fans, for me or for you, it's a two-way road for the most part. Sure, after a playoff loss, you may be a little upset, or a big loss, game-winning play, something like that. Sure, but it's a two-way street where if you lose, you could take it. He made it a one-way street. A lot of one-way streets here in New York. You made it a one-way street, pal, and now you got to take it. You're backed into a corner, and you might not hear the end of it until week 1 next year. You know what? Preseason week 1. When we get to next preseason, and they get their linemen back. Real quick, Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, I think the lineman who is doing something great for the community COVID-wise on the Chiefs, I believe that's his name. I would have liked to see the Chiefs win for him only because he dedicated his entire season. No, seriously, he dedicated his entire season to go help on the COVID front. He did not play this season. Literally, that was the only reason I was rooting for the Chiefs. Not for Jared, not for anyone else, not for Mahomes and his dynasty. I don't care. Because what he is doing is special. He literally gave up his whole season, and I believe his salary as well, or donating his salary as well, to fight the COVID relief. And we were talking about Saratoga maybe in August, July and August. At this point, that's not looking great either. Honestly, that's not looking great.
Yeah.
So on a serious note, that was the only reason I was rooting for the Chiefs. I did put in a wager on the Chiefs. More than happy to lose that one just to watch Jared upset. Any final notes before we wrap up?
Yeah, so tomorrow is going to be a good show. I've already done the card, or I haven't finalized it, but I went through it all, and we've got a lot of Rocket Hour graduates in those races. We got a lot of horses we've talked about before, so that'll be fun. And I've heard a rumor, Ricky, and maybe you can confirm. You are in charge of the show and who comes on. I've heard a rumor we might have a special guest tomorrow.
Yeah, on a few different points to touch on. I know we're running over a little, so I appreciate you guys coming on and or staying on and listening. This is Ricky's Rockets, but I've told Aaron before that this is our show. And this is the Rocket Hour, but this is so anytime that he wants to do,
you call the shots.
Well, I appreciate that. I know you've taken on a nice headline role on Blinkers Off. So if you ever want to come on and headline here and run the show, more than happy to do that. I really don't care. Any guests I've told him on multiple occasions to bring on, as long as they can talk horse racing. And on a serious note, that's what we're trying to do. Yes, I can confirm as of this morning, great game again. Yeah, Brady and Gronk, I think you meant to say, win again. They do. They won again. Gronk is great and a Hall of Famer. I can confirm Miranda said, Dr. Miranda, who does a lot of stakes previews and things like that with Curtis Magic Calloward. I didn't quite have to beg, but I encouraged her to come on, not to promote herself, but to have a third party on here because I love talking to you. This is just a conversation between me and you, and we get to do it live. I think it's awesome, but it's nice to have someone else. And I told her not to be nervous. She can do whatever she wants. If she wants to come here and make no wagering suggestions and just talk on the races, she can do that too. This is a free forum. As long as she just doesn't come on and say, I don't know what you're talking about. Then I might have to cut her off. But I don't think she'll do that. Yeah, so she will be on tomorrow. She does the videos for some of the stakes races. I told her, in horse racing, we joke around. Females are fillies, and boys, especially a young male like me, I'm a colt. And then maybe when you get a little older, like my pops, he's a gelding. Or an older female, they're a mare. So I said you should focus. I told her, I said you should focus on filly races. It just makes a lot of sense. And I think she's picked that up. I don't know if they're going to be doing that moving forward, but for her to talk about the Kentucky Oaks Trail would be great. And maybe she can come on here and tell us who she liked this weekend and things like that. So I'm looking forward to having her on again. I just hope she doesn't back off. Yeah, 2 touchdowns to Gronk. There is an R that we're missing. No, Dennis, I didn't say my dad's a gelding. I said that's what you would refer. I'm a young boy. I'm a colt. It's like a mare. They're older fillies, older girls. Like, no, we are appropriate. So, yes, Dr. Miranda is supposed to be on tomorrow. Of course, Curtis thought the same thing. Curtis, it's only 9:22. He hasn't fully woken up. So Dr. Miranda should be on tomorrow, and we're looking forward to having that. I would really love to have Jared on Friday. I would almost consider giving him a free Pick 4 ticket just to come on so I can make fun of him. I don't think he's going to. He hasn't responded to my text, and that's fine. I know how he's feeling. I'm going to be the mature man, and if he does come on, I'll be wearing my my Raven sweatshirt.
When you get married, you get killed.
Hey, look, only Aaron, between the two of us, only Halterman, Mr. Aaron Halterman, could speak on that. I can't. I'm not married. I'm a single guy. I'm 24 years old. I have no intention of getting married anytime soon. I'm not going to show the whole thing, but that's Dennis, that's a you thing. All right, without further ado, we will be on tomorrow. Again, I made the mistake of not playing Aaron's song, the theme song here. When you cash a ticket, I apologize for that. I do owe him that.
So I have a suggestion. Instead of that, what I want you to come up with the Dr. Miranda theme song. That's what I want you to play tomorrow.
Not a theme song that we've used, just a song.
No. And it like entrance music for Dr. Miranda. Think like if she was a professional wrestler, what would her entrance music be? Yeah,
I can do that. Hopefully she doesn't give me any suggestions. Her last text to me was, just don't make me look dumb. I'm not going to make you look dumb. if you come on here and sound dumb, people will think you're dumb. I won't do that.
I feel like, you know what I feel like? I feel like I'm like the older chaperone tomorrow for you two. Like I'm chaperoning this, whatever's going on. I'm the chaperone for you guys tomorrow.
Look, I'm riding a high right now. I was able to just watch one of the best Super Bowls outside of the Ravens in 2012 when Flacco won. I was able to leave the house after COVID this past weekend, so that was great. Able to get my hair cut. I feel awesome. So, yeah, hopefully she comes on and doesn't back out. I don't think she would because I just made this live, and I'm going to tell her that I said it on the live stream. So
I can confirm she's coming. She's coming on the show. She's texting me as you're talking. I can confirm Miranda will be here tomorrow.
Even better.
Need a theme song.
I do need a theme song. You know what? Throw some suggestions in there. Why not?
No. This is your thing. This is your gift to me for leaving it off today. You're going to have to think of something.
Okay. I can make that happen. I can't promise it's going to be a song that you haven't heard before, though, because I won't know that. Like, I'm not going to go through hundreds of thousands of songs. If I think something that's going to be applicable and maybe a little funny, I'm going to try to do that as well. So without further ado, we will be signing off here. We will see you at 11 a.m. tomorrow, covering Gulfstream as well. Big weekend at the fairgrounds. The Risen Star. Tons of stuff. I believe the Razorback is at Oaklawn this Saturday. This is a great weekend. It just gets better and better from here. We'll be previewing all that on Friday. So we'll be at Gulfstream tomorrow. Dr. Miranda will be on again for her debut appearance. We'll see how she does. I'll be honest. I'll tell her how she does live at the end. I'll be honest. I'm sure I'll give her an A or a B as long as she doesn't tell me I don't know what you're talking about. So you can grade her as well. Maybe we'll show your grades as well. We will see you guys tomorrow. Good luck today. Same opinions for the most part between me and Aaron, or Aaron and I, but we do differentiate in the 10th and final race. See you guys tomorrow, and stay tuned, stay safe, stay healthy, more importantly, and let's try to make today a winning one. Take care, everyone.